Good day to you. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to our weekly tropical weather outlook for Saturday, April 25th, 2026. Almost forgot what day it was today, but it is Saturday. Last weekend, I believe, of April. Next week, we're going to be in May. The time is flying by till we get to hurricane season now, and we are starting to see things really come together, especially in the El Nino department, as El Nino for the past week or past several weeks has really sped up in intensification. I'm going to go over that, plus where to look for potential tropical activity as we head into next month, not in the Atlantic, but globally, as it looks like the global tropics are going to begin to heat up. So we're going to go over all of those things in today's video. Glad to have you along. Let's get started, first of all, by taking a look at how many days we are till, or how many days till June 1st, the start of the Atlantic hurricane season as of this week. We are 37 days away, so now under 40, and probably next week we will be at the 30-day mark, so precisely pretty much a month before the hurricane season starts in the Atlantic. And it's even shorter till the Eastern Pacific hurricane season starts, and we're actually going to talk about the Eastern Pacific a little bit, activity-wise, again, later on in the video as we talk about the potential for an increase in global tropical activity coming up soon. But first of all, to start off the discussion, as usual, I want to go over sea surface temperature anomalies because that's really the first part of the discussion for today. Off rip, the first thing, as you can see here in the Pacific with the latest NOAA sea surface temperature anomaly map, boy, do things continue to get warm. Virtually the entire tropical Pacific is pretty above normal right now. Most areas are shaded at least a degree Celsius above normal, and you're also really starting to see these anomalies off the coast of South America flourish. Some of them getting as warm as 4, maybe even 5 degrees Celsius above normal. And overall, just the amount of heat that is building in the equatorial Pacific right now, it's really kicking up. This El Nino has really rapidly developed and strengthened over the last several weeks as we've gotten some pretty nice westerly wind bursts to occur throughout pretty much the entire Pacific. Especially since around mid-month, and now that we are about a week away from closing out the month, we are pretty much advancing into solid El Nino territory already. And just to give you an idea of how things are looking like right now throughout the entire Pacific, kind of giving you a full Pacific Basin view, you could just see just how much heat we have right now. And we basically have these very warm anomalies. Most areas, again, reaching nearly 1 degree Celsius. It basically extends now for almost the entirety of the Pacific Basin. And by the way, the threshold for El Nino is only 0.5 degrees Celsius. So you can basically already say, by the look of this map, we are now in the last week of April, and we are going to finish out the month of April with El Nino basically already here. I mean, it looks that way, at least to me, and it is probably only going to get even warmer and stronger from here on out. And it's just also incredible to see as well the Pacific warm pool here. Again, not just the developing El Nino here along the equatorial Pacific, but just the amount of warmth we have spread out throughout the tropical Pacific as well, stretching all the way from the Baja Peninsula coastline all the way down here into the Western Pacific. I have not seen a signature like this in years, and it really is a testament to the kind of El Nino that is probably setting up to occur later this year. And I'm not going to be on the hype train, even though a lot of people are, and say that we're going to have a mega Godzilla El Nino. I think a lot of people are, saying that and using those terms as a means of hype and clicks, and I'm not about that, but we are certainly going to have a very potent El Nino, and probably in the very least reach strong threshold, and, looking increasingly likely at this point that we might get close to super El Nino threshold, if not reach it. And just to put into perspective just how much things have changed in the Pacific over just the past month alone, again, just over the past several weeks, as we've really seen things become more favorable in the Pacific. Here's a look at where we were April 1st, just at the beginning of this month, and compared to now, and just look at how much warmer things have gotten in the Pacific overall. The warm pool here stretching throughout the entire tropical Pacific, that's definitely, heated up, especially near Hawaii. But of course, as well, at the beginning of the month, in the Eastern Pacific here, we still had some of these cooler-ish anomalies, the very last remnants of whatever La Nina we had from earlier this winter. But now fast forwarding to, I don't want to fast forward to that graphic just yet, but we will get to it in a second. But fast forwarding now to the end of the month, we have absolutely no cool sea surface temperature anomalies left along the equatorial Pacific. So La Nina is far gone, and El Nino is basically here. And just look at the latest Nino 3.4 daily, sea surface temperature anomaly values. We are right now at 0.7 degrees Celsius above normal. So we are already at El Nino threshold with the daily values we've been getting from the Nino 3.4 region. And it's going to take a few weeks for, people and agencies like NOAA or Bureau of Meteorology from Australia to officially declare that we are in an atmospheric El Nino state, usually because the threshold for El Nino takes about 3 or so months of conditions to be present, or at least that's NOAA's criteria. But to me, it looks like conditions are already beginning to onset. We have 0.7 degrees Celsius temperatures already in the Nino 3.4 region. The SOI as well, something I like to look at on a weekly basis. The latest SOI average for the last 30 days is now at -9. And we've been consistently negative with the SOI since the beginning of the month. And with the negative SOI, that means the atmosphere is now beginning to respond like an El Nino. And that is very important. So the SOI in the 30-day average, again, -9, still positive in the 90-day average, but again, we're just seeing this trend now to the negatives with the SOI literally within just the past few weeks. Trust me, this positive SOI, line here for the 90-day average is probably going to tank very quickly in the coming weeks. And once that reaches negative, then we could probably say for sure that we are in an El Nino atmospheric state. Although, as I'm going to show you here in just a little bit, I think we are already getting there. And we're certainly, advancing very quickly, especially over the last week here. If you take a look at the daily contribution values, as of today as well, -28 in terms of the latest SOI contribution daily values. So SOI continues to trend negative, and this is only going to help El Nino even further, and pretty much goes to show that we are basically already in El Nino territory, oceanically and atmospherically as well. And interestingly enough, too, and this, probably pertains more towards potentially the kind of strength we're going to get with this year's El Nino. Andy Hazelton tweeting 2 days ago, the downwelling Kelvin wave over the Central Pacific is now slightly stronger than previous events, 1997 and 2023, the last, or two of the last few strong El Nino events that we've had, especially 1997. 1997 was a near record-breaking strong El Nino, as well as the 2015 Super El Nino event that we had. There's also yet another downwelling Kelvin wave yet to propagate eastward from the Pacific, and this was driven by the last westerly windburst event. With weak trade winds forecast across the Pacific, the next 2 weeks there will be nothing but attenuate these Kelvin waves. There will be nothing to attenuate these Kelvin waves. Sorry, I completely read this wrong. So pretty much we are probably going to see El Nino advance even further and even quicker than we have over the last several weeks. And boy, has El Nino developed very quickly as we've seen. And just taking a look at the map here that Andy Hazelton is showing, all this warmth in the subsurface really building. We even have some anomalies here in the subsurface warm pool already reaching 5 degrees Celsius. And, it's even, if you look at the map here, it's slightly even warmer than the 2015 El Nino, as he mentions as well, going back to 1997. It's also warmer as well. Slightly, though. I mean, we still had widespread, they had widespread 5 degrees Celsius anomalies like we do this year, but I guess we kind of have some anomalies, I presume, probably reaching 6 degrees Celsius in the warm pool, a little bit more than 97 and 2015. And where is 2023? Because I'm not sure if he actually brought it up here. I only see 2015 and 1997. But those are the last two Super Ninos, and if the warm pool this year is comparable, in fact, potentially even stronger than both of those years, that is certainly very interesting. And this is definitely going to help with El Nino development over the next several weeks, and we're probably just going to see this El Nino flourish here. And we're probably going to see a lot of these oranges and reds really begin to fill in along the equatorial Pacific very quickly over the next several weeks. And that's especially going to happen because looking at the MJO here, well, right now we have a very strong MJO pulse that's moving through the Atlantic. In fact, very, very strong. We have anomalies here that are pretty much probably off the charts. And that is also very interesting as well. Maybe that means the atmosphere is also somewhat, favorable over the Atlantic, at least over Africa. I've seen some people say that maybe there's an African standing wave trying to develop this year. But on the other hand, you could definitely see the signs of the Pacific standing wave really beginning to take shape. I mean, take a look at all these very positive velocity potential anomalies that are pretty much going to park over the central and eastern Pacific, at least according to the latest long-range velocity potential forecast by the Euro. And this is definitely going to help, weaken the trades further and concentrate the rising motion in the Pacific, and that's definitely going to lead to El Nino to continue to flourish over the next several weeks. And we probably will get more opportunities as well for tropical cyclone development as well in the Pacific. We're already seeing that quite a bit. In the Westpac, we just recently had a very strong typhoon, but as this wave that's moving through the Atlantic here eventually propagates further, by early May it should probably end up in the Western Pacific once again, and then that'll probably then trigger a standing wave here that'll develop and set up shop in the Pacific throughout next month. And first of all, that wave itself will probably maybe produce a storm in the Western Pacific. And to show you that, I have here the long-range Google AI ensembles. And yes, I am using the AI model from Google because, as I've been saying, it looks like AI is becoming much more accurate, and I'm definitely looking forward to incorporating AI a lot more in my hurricane season forecasts and discussions throughout this year. As people might be scared about it, but I don't think there's anything to be scared about, saying that AI is certainly leading a revolution and is probably going to be out-charting everything else that is not AI. So I'm definitely going to be paying attention to the AI models a lot more closely here. And interestingly enough, they show a pretty solid signal, especially as we get towards the end of the time frame here. And this is early May, so roughly around the time when the MJO should be moving through the Western Pacific and into the Central and Eastern Pacific. We have a pretty strong signal here showing up on the ensembles. And I'm going to wait for this to get to the end of the chart here, or the end of the slideshow here, and you can see quite a few strong ensembles. Actually, I see one of these low pressure or forecasted low pressures, 931, 918 as well. So that is definitely a pretty solid signal for potentially, yet another powerful typhoon in early May. But then, not only that, once we get towards mid-May, as the MJO kind of parks in the Pacific, notice here, well, first of all, this is the European weekly tropical probability, or weekly mean tropical cyclone strike probability. We start off late April, early May. We definitely see some pretty decent chances here in the Westpac. Continues to increase, gets as high as 50 to 60%. And this is 2 weeks out, so definitely a pretty solid chance we'll probably get something, and probably something pretty strong as well in the Westpac. And if that happens, that'll be our second strong typhoon in just a span of a few weeks. That's the kind of pattern we get here with these very strong El Niños. We get very often strong typhoons and hurricanes throughout the Pacific. And believe me, you may think that that's crazy. Just wait until we get to July and August, and you'll see just how much activity we'll have here brewing in the Pacific. But in the Westpac, we have that early May signal, which is very strong. And then we get to roughly the second to third week of May, May 11th to May 18th. And roughly right in the middle of this time frame is the beginning of the Eastern Pacific hurricane season on May 15th. You know where I'm going with this? And look here in the Eastern Pacific, that second to third week. And then once we get towards May 18th to 25th, chances increase even more for activity here in the Eastern Pacific. 30 to 40% chance of some tropical activity, which might happen. And it may not seem like a lot. 30 to 40% may seem low, but given the time frame, May 18th to May 25th, that is a pretty decent chance. So maybe if you were to put all these things together, El Nino developing, strong MJO pulse that might move through the Eastern Pacific here by mid-May, and the models showing a pretty decent chance of something happening around this time. Maybe you could put those things together and assume that mid-May, roughly around the first or second week of the hurricane season in the Pacific, we might already have an opportunity to watch something. We'll see, but it wouldn't surprise me in the very least, especially because of how favorable the Eastern Pacific is looking this year. We might get off to the races, or start off, and we might start off very active. Let's just say that. Wouldn't surprise me in the very least, but of course, we'll see. We still have weeks away, but definitely we are looking at potentially an increase in global activity happening. Obviously, mostly concentrated in the Pacific. Even might see an increase of activity as well in the Indian Ocean. Maybe there's a signal that we might get something there as well. That'll be interesting to watch too. While meanwhile, the Atlantic, not really much happening, and you're probably going to have to get used to that for this year. Unless if you believe some of the forecasts which are saying otherwise. We'll see. We still have a few weeks away till the Atlantic hurricane season, but obviously given that we're going to have a strong El Nino, you should probably already assume maybe won't have too much in the way of Atlantic activity this year, or at least probably not as much as we've seen over the past several years. But stranger things have happened before, and of course we'll see whether or not that actually happens once we get to the hurricane season this year. All right, so got that out of the way. Really quickly, before we wrap up here, want to talk about severe weather, which is going to be something to watch very closely over the next several weeks. Obviously, since we are in April and we're getting into May, and we are really about to get into the peak of severe weather season here, but today we have a moderate risk for severe weather right now in Oklahoma, roughly in the, looks like it's probably south of Oklahoma City. They are in the enhanced risk for today, so don't think that there are any, large cities in the moderate risk area right now, but we do have an enhanced risk for Oklahoma today. And this is after dealing with the very powerful tornado which occurred roughly about a day or so in the town of Enid, Oklahoma, I believe. And I do believe the rating for it just came out not long ago. It turns out it was an EF4, so a very powerful tornado So I assume that everybody there and everybody in Oklahoma is on alert, as you should be. And looks like that's going to continue into tomorrow. The chances for Oklahoma should decrease, but for Kansas, it should probably go up pretty decently, where they have an enhanced risk. And then the risk moves eastward, potentially over the Midwest, Missouri, Illinois, Iowa, and also portions of the Mississippi River Valley as well, Tennessee and Kentucky in it as well. So pretty widespread area here throughout the central, southeastern Midwest here for severe weather day 3, and then that continues day 4. The risk then shifts a little bit further south. So a pretty active stretch here of severe weather coming up over the next several days, to be expected, as once again we are in late April, and it's probably going to extend further beyond that as we get into May and June, and that's when things really begin to kick up, especially for the plains. So we're probably going to have more strong tornadoes coming up, especially for Oklahoma and Kansas. But unfortunately, we already had one yesterday. So be on high alert, especially if you are in a pretty heightened risk for severe weather today, especially if you are in Oklahoma. I'm pretty sure you guys know the drill, though, so I probably shouldn't repeat it. But definitely definitely something to keep in mind, especially if you are in the region. Severe weather today, and then if you are in the Midwest, tomorrow and next week, severe weather coming for you guys then. But then, after that, we will then have hurricane season to talk about, which is, again, only 37 days away in the Atlantic, and even shorter in the Pacific. So time is really flying by, and we are probably just weeks away from what will eventually soon be probably a very, very active Pacific this year, or at least I believe so, given the setup that we're going to have with El Nino for this year. But with that being said, I'm going to end it off for this week's video. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, subscribe to my channel if you want more videos like this. We're going to continue to do these videos on a weekly basis till we get to May 15th, when the Eastern Pacific hurricane season will start. So, saddle up for that. But again, make sure to enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll talk to you guys again next week. See ya.